not all essential oils are made equal. So not all essential oils are going to give you this clinical health benefit. So it's really, really important that you use a brand that is trustworthy, that is transparent. And that was kind of the journey that I went on at the beginning. I kind of discovered essential oils, and I didn't know which ones to recommend to my patients because I was like reading the research and looking at some of them. I was like, why does this one smell different than this one? And, I'd experimented with essential oils and they smelled good, but I didn't get this clinical benefit that people were talking about. So
welcome to Thriving with Diabetes, the podcast where we empower people with type 2 diabetes to live their best lives. I am your host, Gamden, a holistic wellness coach, helping people overcome challenges related to type 2 diabetes. As a holistic wellness coach, I have dedicated my passion for health and wellness to helping people like you navigate the complexities of diabetes. I believe that with the correct knowledge, support, and mindset, you can lead a more fulfilling life while managing your health condition. In today's episode of Thriving with Diabetes, we are talking about essential oils and the incredible power they hold in enhancing your wellness, specifically for those navigating life and diabetes. Our guest today is Dr. Laura Hughes, a holistic health coach and essential oil specialist. Throughout this episode, you will take a deep dive into essential oils, gain insights into their benefits, and learn how to combine them in your daily routine. And this episode is specific for those living with diabetes. So I'm excited to have our guest with me today, Dr. Laura Hughes. As you know that our podcast is about empowering people with diabetes, and having an expert like Laura on our show helps us achieve that goals. It is always inspiring to learn about our guests' perspectives and experiences. And before we dive into our discussion, I would love from Dr. Laura to introduce herself, share some background about her and what she does. So without further ado, I will hand it over to Laura. Laura, welcome to Thriving with Diabetes podcast.
thank you so much. It's such an honor to be here, and I'm delighted to just share a message of empowering health with everyone listening who is looking for alternatives and looking for empowerment around their type 2 diabetes. So as you said, my name is Dr. Laura Hughes. Just call me Laura. I'm coming to you from Canada. I live in Toronto, Canada, but I support people all over the world. I love the internet. I love virtual because it just allows me to reach so many people and meet so many new friends. But just a really brief background about me. I have my master's degree in public health and a PhD in the study of epigenetics, which I'm sure we'll get to in this discussion because it's a bit of a buzzword right now, and it's kind of the secret to unlocking true health empowerment if you understand what epigenetics means. I did my main research in cancer research, and at the end of my cancer research studies, my father got really sick with cancer and passed away. And that really woke me up to just how many people in the world are struggling with chronic disease and what a burden chronic disease is on our healthcare system, on families, and just how we can kind of maybe for the next generations get ahead of that a little bit with prevention and tapping back into natural health and not waiting until we get sick to worry about things. But also for the people like your listeners who have type 2 diabetes, what I want people to understand is that just because you've been diagnosed with something doesn't mean it's too late to either revert the condition or manage it really well and live a thriving life. So when my father passed away, I decided to go back to school and become a doctor and like a medical, more on the practical medical clinical side of things. And in Canada and North America, we can specialize in naturopathic medicine, which is much more focused on prevention, getting to the root cause of an issue, not just treating symptoms, not just using pharmaceuticals. So we focus a lot on botanicals, movement, diet, acupuncture, homeopathy, all the things. And when I graduated, I really fell into the world of essential oils and aromatherapy and just absolutely loved how quick, I mean, this isn't about a quick fix, but just how much better people felt, how empowered they were when they discovered aromatherapy, and just love teaching on it and love tapping people into that world. So I'm excited to talk all things essential oils today.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing your story and what motivated you to become a holistic health and essential oil specialist. I know that you focus on essential oils as a method to improve overall health and tackle some chronic illnesses. Essential oils have their own or specific health benefits, such as reducing stress and sleep aid, as you know that. Can you talk about the health benefits of essential oils and how people can get started?
Absolutely. So what makes them so exciting, what makes essential oils so exciting is that there's an entry point for everyone. It's a very unique form of plant medicine. So what essential oils are is it's the part of the plant that smells. So they can come from trees, from bark, from flowers, from fruits. So if you smell an orange, that's the essential oil in the orange. If you smell a rose, that's the essential oil in the rose. And the biochemical makeup that makes that fragrance of the plant has very unique health benefits in the body. So what's really cool is that you can use essential oils for almost anything. You can use them for digestion, for sleep, for mental health, for stress relief, for skin support. And so that's why I find them so powerful to help people, is because they work very quickly in the body. They're very safe if you kind of follow this discussion and understand what oils to look for and how to use them. And they don't just target one system. So what happens is if you use something like peppermint to give yourself energy, if you can imagine the smell of peppermint, it's very uplifting and very energizing. When you smell that, you're also impacting your airways. You're impacting your mood. If you take a drop on your tongue, you're impacting your digestion. So what happens when people start using essential oils is even if they start for one thing, you're indirectly affecting so many different areas of the body that you get this kind of compound effect, and people just feel better very quickly and are motivated to start making other small changes. And I'm sure you know from coaching your clients in diabetes, it's the small daily changes that add up over time, right? So essential oils kind of expedite this journey, and they also make it really fun. It's a fun, connecting with the plants and the aromas it's a beautiful way back into nature for a lot of us that might have forgotten that or have grown up in the city or are on our computers all the time working. So, yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. And how can people get started, or just is there a process they should follow, like preparation or something like that?
Yeah. So I think the most important thing is to start with a brand that you trust. So essential oils are pretty hot right now because we know now how powerful they are and how effective they are. So you'll see them everywhere. You'll see lots of different brands kind of hopping on the bandwagon. You'll see them sold at the grocery store. I've even seen them sold at gas stations. And what's really important to know is that not all essential oils are made equal. So not all essential oils are going to give you this clinical health benefit. So it's really, really important that you use a brand that is trustworthy, that is transparent. And that was kind of the journey that I went on at the beginning. I kind of discovered essential oils, and I didn't know which ones to recommend to my patients because I was like reading the research and looking at some of them. I was like, why does this one smell different than this one? And, I'd experimented with essential oils and they smelled good, but I didn't get this clinical benefit that people were talking about. So, full transparency, I work with oils from a company called doTERRA, which is the leading essential oil company in the world. And why I love them as someone with my background is that they are 100% committed to transparency, to the sourcing, to the purity. The purity is really important. And for me, that's really important. So all I can say is if you want to get started, I recommend starting with doTERRA essential oils because they really are the gold standard, especially if you are already struggling with some health issues. You don't want to be adding extra burden to your body. You want to make sure that you're using the best of the best. And what is cool is that doTERRA is also focused on education. A lot of their education, most of it is free. So it's very empowering. You can learn while you're using the oils. It's not just like you go to the drugstore and buy a bottle and go home and you're not sure what to do with it. So at the end, I'll share my contact info and I can tap you into all of that. So that's how I would recommend people getting started. And, you can start with one oil and again, just practice using it, see how you feel. Some people start with a little protocol that I'm happy to help people kind of come up with. That's what I love to do. And just kind of take it from there.
Thank you for sharing that. This will lead us to the questions or the question: how are essential oils made? We want to know the process of extracting essential oils from plants and the importance of quality and purity, as you just mentioned. Could you talk or walk us through the process of making essential oils from plants? What factors contribute to their purity and effectiveness?
Yes, this is one of my favorite things to talk about. And I was lucky enough a few years ago to go to Nepal, actually. So doTERRA sources their oils from all over the world. And their theory behind that is that where plants grow in their native environments, they're the happiest, healthiest plants. And the oils extracted from those plants will be much purer, much more chemically diverse, and work much better in the body. So for example, wintergreen harvested in Nepal, which is where I went, it will be totally different than wintergreen grown in a greenhouse in England because the climate's different. The soil is different. So it's really important for that chemical diversity that the plants are sourced where they're indigenous. And then what they do is they do a steam distillation or a cold press extraction, depending on the type of plant. And I guess what's most important here is understanding that a lot of adulteration can happen along the way. So it's important that whatever company you're using knows exactly what's happening at each step of the way. And that's kind of what has gone on in the past. So if you read anything in the news about the danger of essential oils or, don't use this around your pet, or there's lots of kind of inflammatory news stories about oils, chances are it's a product that's being adulterated along the way. It's a very valuable marketplace. So they do use frankincense essential oil, for example, in the perfume industry. And there's a lot of money to be made, harvesting frankincense from Africa or India, or where else does it come from? Oman. And, by the time it gets there via all these people to your bottle, it might only be 10% pure frankincense. And they've been adding things along the way. And, sometimes it's relatively innocent, but the company in question just doesn't have the methods to ensure the purity of the product. So maybe a fertilizer was used on that lemon, on that tree, and they can't purify the oil enough during the distillation process to get all that pesticide out. And the last thing you want to be doing is using lemon essential oil for your health benefit, and then there's pesticide in it. So doTERRA has a program called Source to You. So right from the source, they can show what's happening at every step, and they can guarantee 100% purity of their product. And that's really exciting for people and the consumer as well.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing that information. So tracking the source or from where the essential oils came is very important, and it shows us the process as well. And
absolutely, yeah.
You mentioned earlier we cannot treat all essential oils the same. You might find some cheap called essential oils, and the
Yeah.
same thing, you might need to look for high quality, and that means spending a little bit more.
Not necessarily. I think that's what surprises people is they think that if they're going to be buying 100% pure oils or if doTERRA is the gold standard, it's going to be more expensive. And that's not necessarily true, which is also frustrating for the consumer, right? If, it's not necessarily the more you pay, the better you get. It really is up to the company to share that. So, and I promise I'm not just making this up. They've actually done, the essential oil research world has exploded in the last few years. And, as a former scientist, or I guess I'm always a scientist, I don't want to just take a company's word at face value. I want to see the study. So I can, if anyone's interested in actually seeing the study where they compare purity and they show exactly what I'm talking about, it's published in peer-reviewed journals. I can happily send you the information to check it out. And it's because of this research that doTERRA oils are used in hospitals, they're used in nursing homes, they're used in schools. It's a very trusted brand, and it's because of this commitment to sourcing.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing that information. I think we need to talk about specific benefits like reducing stress, sleep aid, and the purpose of using essential oils such as for anxiety or anxiety relief, skin care, and immune support. Can essential oils, or how can essential oils be effectively used to address common concerns such as anxiety, skin care, hair care, and improving sleep?
Yes. So these are some of the things that they're used regularly for every day. So I'll give you some clear examples and just how they go about doing that. So I think a lot of people, when they think about essential oils, they think about the smell and the aromatherapy. And that's probably the most common way that people start using them is smelling them. So there's actually 3 different ways you can use essential oils, and we'll get to that in this little part of the talk. But initially, if you smell an essential oil, what's happening is the volatile compounds in the essential oil are hitting your olfactory nerve in your nose and going right to the limbic system of your brain. And it happens really, really, really fast, like almost instantly. And the best image I have to share with people is if you imagine someone going for surgery, and if you haven't been in surgery, if you imagine a movie of someone in surgery and they put the gas mask on and they say count down from 10 so they can put them under, they're usually asleep by 8. Like that's the same pathway that the oils are working on. So we can almost instantly shift mood by smelling something, and it happens at a physiological level. So it can actually calm the brain. It can impact neurotransmitters, hormones, but we can also train our brain. So if you know that something makes you really anxious, like every time you go to the doctor to have your blood pressure taken, which I know, blood pressure is an important aspect of management for diabetes, you can train yourself with a certain sense. So for example, I love wild orange. It's very uplifting for mood, but also calming for the nervous system. Just before you pop into the doctor's office, smell it, and you can give yourself an affirmation, like, whatever that may be for yourself. Can't think of one right now, of course, but over time, your brain will get conditioned with that smell to calm down almost instantly. So really, really powerful on so many levels to help stress and anxiety. And ditto for sleep. So lavender is probably the best known oil for sleep support. So much research on how lavender can calm the nervous system before bed by putting a few drops on your pillow and smelling it. But this is how we can use oils in the second way. So we can actually use oils directly on our skin. And again, this is where you want to be very careful that you're using a brand that you trust, that isn't toxic, that hasn't had anything added to it or taken away from it, 100% pure plant material, because the chemical composition of the essential oil allows it to be absorbed very, very quickly into the skin. So if you put it in a little bit of carrier oil, like coconut oil or even unscented body lotion, you're getting that directly into your bloodstream, and it's going to be traveling around the body and impacting your brain and your cells in a different way. So I love massaging a little bit of lavender on my baby before he goes to sleep, and it helps him. He's an amazing sleeper. So I'm so thankful to be using oils on him since he was born. But lavender for sleep. And again, sleep is the foundation. Maybe you've had a whole episode on sleep, I'm not sure, but sleep is the whole foundation of our wellness, right? Our body recovers at night. It heals inflammation at night. So as someone with type 2 diabetes, if you can get a good night's sleep, it might not feel like it right away, but over time, that's going to really impact your metabolism. It's going to impact your inflammation in a positive way. So, and I mean, there's other oils you can use for sleep as well. So what's cool about essential oils is that if lavender doesn't really do it for you, you could try cedarwood, you could try vetiver. The slight difference in chemical composition will impacts people in different ways. So there's always a solution. There's never, oh, this didn't work for me. There's always something else we can try, which makes it really empowering as well. And then skin and hair, as you mentioned. So this is another way that we can use oils on our skin and on our hair. Very, what's the word I want to use? They aid in repair, in cell regeneration. So frankincense, we talked about frankincense a little bit, very anti-aging, very healing, very gentle. So if you get rashes, I know there's like diabetic neuropathy, skin lesions that can be difficult to heal. Frankincense is a very gentle way to support healing and wound healing. And, as a benefit, frankincense is also one of the top oils to use for anxiety. So with one oil, you can impact your stress, your anxiety, and support skin healing. So there's some examples of that. And then I think immune support was the other one you had questions about. So you can choose an essential oil that will directly impact your immune system. So if you're struggling with frequent, it's coming up cold and flu season here in Canada. So if you're struggling with your, just staying on top of that, there's absolutely oils you can use to kind of support your immune system to be healthy. Like, again, frankincense, ironically, is good for that as well. Things like clove, things like cinnamon, lemon is amazing for the respiratory system, peppermint for the respiratory system. But this is where, again, oils are so powerful because a side benefit of just using them is eliminating other toxic things from your life. So for example, if you can get rid of the toxic, smelly, super chemical cleaner for your kitchen counter and start using vinegar and lemon oil and water instead, just removing that toxic fragrance, those toxic chemicals, is going to directly benefit your body. So your immune system naturally functions better because we're removing a lot of burden from the system. So, and I mean, you don't have to memorize all this or even think about it, but this is the empowerment that happens when you start incorporating natural things into your life, like essential oils.
Brilliant. Very, very interesting information. So I usually recommend people to use lavender when they have a sleep issue. And sometimes I use, it's like a spray with added or blended with lavender to not just to help with sleep, so you will have like quality and deep sleep when you use lavender.
Yes.
And I use for hair, I use rosemary.
Yes, rosemary is amazing for hair. Rosemary and cedarwood are my favorite for strengthening hair, growing hair. I have a lot of hair, so I luckily don't have to worry about that right now. But I've worked with people who've been able to regrow hair with using rosemary and cedarwood and peppermint on their scalp. So yeah.
So that shows that I'm heading to the right direction, right?
Yes, yes.
And it is very interesting that you talk to someone who is a specialist in essential oils to guide through the process and how to apply them. Sometimes it can be difficult, or we might, they are concentrated and they can have some side effects. Okay, now let's talk about natural wellness and diabetes management, emphasizing how essential oils and holistic approaches can complement diabetes care. If you can share some, you already have given us some practical tips, and if there are some more you want to share, so to be part of the diabetes management process.
Yeah. So I think this is where it's important that, everyone's individual, everyone is case by case. And I don't want to overwhelm people. Like I've been working with oils now for 7 years and it's an obsession. I'm pretty much self-taught and this is what happens when you just start using them and learning them. So don't be overwhelmed. Like, oh my gosh, like how am I ever going to remember all of this? But it just depends on the person in question. Like what is your health goal? Are you looking to simply manage lifestyle to support the lifestyle changes that your doctor is helping you with, right? Are you looking to move your body more, but you struggle because you get a lot of muscle pain after taking a walk or being at the gym? And if so, there's oils you can use on your skin to massage into muscles to just make the recovery feel better, right? Do you struggle to even keep your breath when you're exercising? So there's oils you can rub on your lungs to increase your oxygen intake. Do you struggle with blood sugar balance? Because the third way to take essential oils is internally. And this, again, is where you want to be really careful that you're using a pure product because you don't want to be ingesting toxins. But cinnamon, very well researched for helping to manage blood sugar depending on when you take it with your food. So it depends if someone's looking for symptomatic relief, looking for how to implement lifestyle changes, or directly with kind of the sequela of type 2 diabetes. And that's like a case by case thing. But there's what I love is that there's always going to be an option. So we can always start somewhere.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing these great insights. I think you have shared a lot of information, and I encourage people to listen or watch this episode again and again to digest the information and implement some of the tips that you are sharing with us today. When we talk about essential oils, we're not talking about a few essential oils. There is a big list. So it will be helpful if you can highlight the top five, maybe five essential oils that you recommend for those struggling with diabetes. So if you share not just the top five, maybe more, but things we can start with a few at the beginning.
Yeah. Yes. So I'm a big believer in using something that supports many things at once. So how can you kind of get the most bang for your buck? So my top five would definitely be lavender, because lavender, as we talked about, it helps with sleep, it helps with stress. It's also very, very calming for skin. So anything on the skin, we call it the Swiss Army knife of oils because you can use it for so many different things. So lavender, again, peppermint. I love peppermint because it's so versatile. It's amazing for mood and for energy and for clarity of mind. It's amazing for, I'm definitely not anti-pharmaceutical. I understand that sometimes we need to be on medication to manage things and to have a quality of life and to be get to where our health goals guide us. But if we can eliminate unnecessary medication from our life, it makes the ones that we have to take work that much better. And our bodies just kind of stay in balance. So if maybe you don't have to reach for the paracetamol for a headache and you can try peppermint first, or, use it to support your lung health because it opens up everything. I love having it in my first aid kit just for that. And again, we talked about massaging it into muscles for exercise recovery. So we have lavender, peppermint, frankincense is kind of the king of all oils. If you only had one oil in your collection, it is one of the more expensive ones simply because of the way it's sourced. It's sourced from Somalia. And just to maintain the ethical sourcing and sustainability of that part of the world and the trees, it just is more expensive. But immune support, stress support, anxiety, skin, it's the king of essential oils. And then I would actually recommend 2 blends. So we have single plant oils, so like lemon, lavender, peppermint, but there's also, experts have kind of looked at the plant families and said, okay, if we put all of the different plants together that work on the same system, So they amplify each other and create something really powerful. How could we do that? That would take the overwhelm out for people. So there's an amazing blend that doTERRA makes called ZenGest or Digest Zen, depending on what market you're in. And it's a blend that's directly supporting the digestive system. And we know that the digestive system is kind of the root, the foundation of all health, because our microbiome, the majority of our microbiome and our immune system lives in our gut. There's a direct link between our gut and our brain for mental health support. There's a direct connection with metabolism, which is so important for diabetes. And so that's a blend of peppermint, caraway, fennel, ginger. It's beautiful. So I love just helping people with gut health because you can't go wrong with that. And then another blend for diabetes specifically is called MetaPower, which is it's directly supportive of metabolism and just a healthy metabolism, whatever that looks like for you. If it's just absorbing carbohydrates or weight loss, there's been some really cool research showing how it impacts fat cell metabolism. So that's a blend of cinnamon, ginger, grapefruit, and peppermint. And there's ways that you can use that every day, just simply taking a couple of drops in your water and directly benefiting all those metabolic pathways in your body. So as you said, there's almost 100 different oils you can use. And I have lots of free online classes that people can watch if they're interested in learning more. But if I was someone starting today listening to this specific podcast, those would be the 5 that I would probably start with.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Thank you for sharing this information. What you have shared is going to be very helpful for anyone who wants to get started with essential oils. And when we talk about essential oils, we cannot ignore base or carrier oil. Some people may or may not know about the carrier oils and their role in diluting essential oils, even for safety.
Yes.
So if you can talk about what carrier oils are and why they are important as well, that will be very helpful.
For sure, yeah. So as I said, there's 3 different ways you can use essential oils. So there's aromatically, so smelling it. So just smelling the bottle, or some people use like a little water diffuser and they put the oil in the water and it diffuses. And then there's the second way is topical, so on our skin. And as you mentioned, essential oils are very, very, very concentrated. They're very strong. So if you do happen to read anything in a news report or someone says, oh, like someone had a terrible reaction, chances are they just weren't following some basic safety advice. So some basic safety advice for using oils on your skin, even doTERRA oils, which are very, very, very clean and pure, is to dilute them. So I love using coconut oil just because it's easy. It absorbs into the skin well. You can use jojoba oil, almond oil, even olive oil, although olive oil doesn't really penetrate the skin. Any kind of like other plant oil. My partner uses avocado oil. And what that does is it dilutes the concentrated essential oil. So our body isn't shocked by it because it's so strong. And it actually makes the essential oil work better, because what it does is, for example, if you use coconut oil, when you put a couple of drops of peppermint and coconut oil and rub it on your skin, the coconut oil traps the aromatic compounds so they can't evaporate, holds it against the skin, so the body has time to absorb it. So you're actually going to make the essential oil work better if you use a carrier oil. And the third benefit is that you're going to save a lot of money because you're only using a drop at a time, right? You only need a drop of peppermint. That's all you need to cover your whole back if you're using a carrier oil to spread it. So, yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing that. I didn't think about using coconut oil as a base oil. I use olive oil and almond, but
almond oil is another popular one. Yeah, I love almond oil too. It's nice and thin.
Yeah.
And you can also, like, to make it easy, I have these like roller bottles. You can make a roller bottle. So you'd put like 10 drops of essential oil in here and top it up with liquid coconut oil or olive oil. And then there's a little roller on the top and you can use it. It keeps it kind of easy to use and not messy.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing that as well. That's why I asked you about the carrier oil or base oil for safety as well. And let's talk a little bit about safety precaution. It is important when we deal with essential oil for safety. So we need some like safety guidelines to ensure we are using them safely. Do you have something to share about that?
Absolutely, yes. And again, I don't want people to think they have to memorize all this because I've created a really handy, like little mini ebook that I'll share at the end and you can download it. And this is all in there because I think it's really important. But again, my first safety tip is make sure you use a brand that you trust. And if it's not doTERRA, that's totally fine. But then just make sure you go to their website and are they sharing where the oils come from, how they're guaranteeing purity? Can you put the number on the bottle into the website and can they show you the chemical report? So safety safety stems from how good is the actual product that you're using. And then once you have a product in your hand that you trust and that you're sure is pure, some simple safety tips are, as we talked about, just making sure you dilute it if you put it on your skin. Citrus oils, so like orange, lemon, grapefruit, bergamot, are what we call photosensitive. So they naturally attract sunlight. So you wouldn't want to be putting wild orange on your neck like a perfume and then going in the sun because it increases your risk of getting a sunburn. So just being careful of putting the citrus oils on your skin is another important safety tip. And then the third safety tip is the internal use. So making sure that you, again, are using a brand you trust if you're taking oils internally. And there's like little capsules you can get to put drops in and then swallow the capsules, or putting the oil in a little bit of olive oil and swallowing that just to protect your gastric system as you're swallowing it. And again, any reputable company on their website or through someone who shares their products like I do will have different advice for different age groups. So if you are, using oils on your baby like I do, you're going to be using different doses than if you were, an adult. And same with the elderly. If you have delicate skin, you wouldn't be using the same as I would use. So just making sure you have access to like a dilution chart, which again isn't overwhelming, but is just for safety. So you should be able to access that on the company's website.
Brilliant. I think it's very important to share these points so you don't, people who are watching or listening to us don't get any kind of side effects just by using the essential oils without any guidelines to
Absolutely.
help
Yeah.
them with that.
And I guess just a final safety tip is to listen to your body. Don't force something if you're having a reaction. Just because something's natural and I'm on here saying it's like amazing, maybe you're one of those very, very few people where lavender actually just doesn't agree with your body. So if your body is showing you like, oh, I don't like this, stop. It's okay. You don't have to force it. There's another solution that you can try that your body will be happier with. So it's a beautiful opportunity for people to start listening to their body and what it's asking of them. And that will go so far in helping with diabetes as well. Like, I feel like any disease that comes up in the body is just an invitation to start listening. Like what's being asked of you? How can you work together with your body that's trying to stay in balance to support you in this life? So, yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing that. And that's why it is important sometimes to work with someone or get advice from a person who is essential oil specialist like you. So because these information sometimes are difficult to get, or especially because when we do the research ourselves, we might get it wrong. We might make mistakes.
There's so much on the internet. Yeah. It's so hard to see. And it's more fun if you work with someone who is passionate and who can tap you into more education and really reliable resources and community and other people using the products. You can share experiences. Yeah.
Brilliant. And I think I made a mistake before when I started using peppermint. It was very strong.
It's very strong.
and I used it,
Yes.
and I I had a sort of reaction on my face. So I
Yeah.
learned a
Yeah.
lesson not to use peppermint on the face or around the eyes.
It tingles and burns. Yep. Yep.
That's why it's very important to learn about the essential oils. Now we come to another part before we finish is we want you to share your final and inspiring message. So if you can leave our viewers and listeners, specifically those struggling with diabetes.
Absolutely, yes. So as I mentioned, I did my PhD research in a realm called epigenetics. And if you aren't familiar with that word, what it means essentially is that, in a nutshell, is that we're all born with our genes, but our genes don't dictate our health destiny. So just because your mom or your dad had diabetes or cancer or depression or whatever, doesn't mean that that's your destiny. And what I want you to understand is that even if you've been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes, that doesn't have to be a label that you carry for the rest of your life. Maybe you choose to in an empowering way, which is a totally different story. But I know a lot of people receive diagnoses like these and like it's a death sentence or, it's just something, it's a burden they have to carry. And what epigenetics means is that, yes, we're born with our genes, but it's our daily choices through our diet, through our mindset, through the toxic stuff in our environment or lack thereof that tell our genes to turn on or turn off. So just know that any changes you're making in your diet, in your movement, like movement's just so important. Anything you're doing to remove toxic load from your environment. So by that I mean synthetic fragrance, air fresheners, perfume, makeup, chemicals, cleaning supplies. I mean, there's not much we can do about like air pollution, but we can clean up our inside our homes, right? Um, Supplement use, we can turn on and off our genes. So this is really empowering for people. And this is how people reverse their conditions is by small daily choices that impact their epigenetics. And there was just some really exciting research actually on, there's an oil blend called Serenity that has lavender in it. It's one of the oils. And they showed that people that used it to support sleep over time actually changed the gene expression of sleep, and they were having better sleep and longer sleep and more solid sleep. So just, I want you to walk away from this talk just being empowered and that it's never too late. Even if you've been struggling with diabetes for 10 years, like today is a new day. And you can still change the expression of your genes and how those genes are manifesting disease in your body.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing your inspiring message and advice as well. I think uh, people shouldn't give up, so they have to try. So, yeah, there are things out of our control, but many things that we can control. So we need to work
Absolutely,
on the
yes.
things that we have control
Yes.
on.
And don't underestimate how powerful that is.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing that. Uh, how can people find you if they want to if they want to get in touch with you, learn more about you and what you do?
Absolutely, yeah. So I actually have a podcast just on essential oils. It's called Science Meets Spirit Essentials with Dr. Laura Hughes. That's on iTunes and Spotify. If you just kind of want to spy and listen and learn, I think I have about 20 episodes, and each episode is something different about essential oils. But if you have direct questions, I love chatting to people. Just go to my website, drlaurahughes.com. And there's a contact page. Just send me a question. And I also, as I said, I've created a little mini ebook download specifically related to this podcast because it's quite a unique one focused on diabetes that you can download for free. Just so you don't, again, have to memorize all of this and you can kind of see it all in one place. So that's just at www.drlaurahughes.com / or like the / thing, diabetes. And you can download it.
Brilliant. Thank you for sharing your contact information. So people can visit, the best way is to visit your website, and from there
Yes.
they can listen to your podcast or download the PDF as a guide to
Yes.
start to get started with essential oils.
Yes. So that might not be obvious on the website. So just make sure you put like the backslash diabetes and it'll pull up the download for
Yeah,
you.
and I will leave the link with the show notes as well for
Oh,
easy
perfect.
access, so people can just click the link to go directly to your website as well.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you. First and foremost, I would like to express my sincere gratitude to our amazing guest, Dr. Laura Hughes, for generously sharing her expertise, insights, and time with us today. Your contribution has truly elevated this episode, and I deeply appreciate the information you have provided. I want also to thank everyone of you, our dedicated viewers and listeners, for being a part of this episode. If you are seeking additional guidance and support, I encourage you to book a discovery call with me at wellnessimpact.org. During this call, we can discuss your needs and explore how I can provide personalized assistance while addressing any questions you may have. If you found today's episode insightful and valuable, I invite you to join our community of people who are committed to thriving with diabetes. To stay up to date for upcoming episodes, empowering discussions, and practical tips, make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. For those who prefer other platforms such as Spotify, you can follow the Thriving with Diabetes podcast. I want to say thank you, Laura, for being our guest today. And thank you, everyone who has been joining us or watching this episode. Until next time, take care of your health and keep thriving.